Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Robert from mobileburn, and today I'll be comparing the Sony Xperia Z on my right to the Blackberry Z10 on my left. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the hardware and have a look around it first of all in terms of button placements and stuff. So starting off with the Xperia Z, on the left hand side we find the micro USB charging port as well as the micro HDMI connector. Obviously the camera won't focus now. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. So you can see micro USB and micro HDMI connector. Then on the top of the device we get the 3.5mm headphone jack, the power button and then a microphone next to it. On the bottom of the device we get nothing apart from the flap to take the back cover off. And then on the right hand side we get the volume rocker with a voice command button in between. Then looking around the back of the device we get the camera, the 8-megapixel camera, the LED flash, just a Blackberry logo. On the front we get the speaker, the sensors as well as the front facing camera, which is a 2-megapixel one by the way, and that's it at the bottom apart from the Blackberry logo, and you have no buttons here because of the UI on the Blackberry, which is very heavily gesture based. Then looking at the Xperia Z, all the ports pretty much on the Xperia Z are covered. You can see here the dock connectors for the Xperia Z. Then next to it is the micro SD card slot as well as the micro USB charging ports, and these are covered under the flaps because they are this phone is actually waterproof. On the top of the device we get nothing apart from a 3.5mm headphone jack, again covered under the flaps. On the left hand side we get the micro SIM card slot, the power button, volume rocker and then just another speaker. And on the bottom we get nothing apart from some writing and a speaker again, a microphone. On the back is the camera located right at the top, an NFC sticker, and the front facing camera is located on the front, flanked by this sort of 5-inch display, Sony logo at the top, and again no buttons because they are actually soft buttons included here. Then looking at the thickness of both devices, comparing them in terms of thickness, they do seem pretty similarly weighted and spec'd. I mean, the Blackberry Z10 feels a little bit thicker, but I don't think there's too much in it. Weight-wise, they both feel pretty much identical. Maybe the Blackberry a little bit heavier if I'm being picky here, but not, nothing, ridiculous in terms of that. Yeah, but you can see again the thickness on the other side here. There isn't really too much of a difference, and they both feel very thin and very sort of solid. In terms of spec, the Xperia Z has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 1.5 GHz quad-core processor and 2 GB of RAM. The Blackberry Z10 has a 1.5 GHz dual-core processor and 2 GB of RAM. Then battery-wise, while we're here, you can actually take the back cover off. So that shows the removable 1800 mAh battery. Then you get the micro SD card slot here as well as the SIM card slot. So nice that there is a sort of a removable battery as well as a removable storage or expandable storage option for the device. The Xperia Z has a 2330 mAh battery and also features a micro SD card slot, but the battery is non-removable. The display on the Xperia Z is a 5-inch display with a full HD resolution of 1920 by 1080. And this is a TFT display with 60 million colors, and it also comes with Sony Bravia engine. The Xperia Z has a 4.2-inch display with a resolution of 768 by 1280, and it has a pixel density of 355 ppi on this 4.2-inch display compared to the pixel density of 441 on the Xperia Z. Then radios, they both feature 4G radios. They both have Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi, the sort of usual. They both have NFC as well. Most phones nowadays come with, NFC built in, so that's nice. Then looking at the cameras, the Xperia Z has a 13-megapixel camera. The Blackberry has an 8-megapixel camera with LED flash. both shoot 1080p video. The Xperia Z actually shoots HDR video, but more on that a little bit later. Then the front-facing cameras, the Xperia Z has a 2.2 megapixel camera, and that shoots 1080p video as well. The Blackberry Z10 has a 2 megapixel as well, but only 720p video. The GPU on the Z10 is an Adreno 225, and the Adreno 320 is in the Xperia Z. Now, comparing the software of both devices, the Blackberry Z10 runs OS 10, BlackBerry's latest version that's recently just been announced. And taking a look at all the apps, it comes with the sort of standard BlackBerry apps you'd expect. You get the BBM, you get your BlackBerry App World, you get your Docs to Go, your pictures, your music, video, Story Maker, which is a video editor, Facebook and Twitter pre-installed, LinkedIn pre-installed, you know, browser as well, stock browser, maps now feature satellite navigation, so it's nice. Some, you know, games included as well if I open that now. And I'm not going to sort of get into the games, but you get some games. You get Newsstand, which is like magazines for on Google, and it can't authenticate because I have actually problems logging into the BlackBerry server. And yeah, you get Newsstand where you can basically buy magazines. You get Voice Control, which is like Siri, that type of thing. It hasn't got all the features and it's not as expanded as Siri or Google Now, but it does the sort of main things like, you know, sending messages, stuff like that. You get your weather app, your clock, your calculator, compass, everything you'd kind of expect. You also get Box.net pre-installed, Dropbox pre-installed. You can print smart tags as well, which is a nice feature if you're using NFC tags, so you can actually program then. You get the settings button here, and then at the Adobe Reader, so for PDFs, really business orientated. The camera, the setup function, so if you want to set up your Wi-Fi, and then obviously the phone as well. At the bottom you get the dock, which has the phone, the camera and the search icon here. This is sort of removable and non-changeable, so you can't do anything like that. Most people who've maybe used an iPhone or a BlackBerry even will be very familiar. I mean, this looks like an iPhone in terms of, you know, layout. It has the 4x4 grid, sort of the iPhone 4, 4S, 3GS, all those. The new one obviously has 5 rows and 4 columns. But the sort of layout will be the same. You get your home screens. You can still, you know, move the apps about by long pressing. You can then move them about just as you want. You know, folders can be created just as you sort of used to by dragging one app over the other one, and actually, as I need it now, there you go, it actually creates a folder, and that allows you to name it if you want it to. And then you obviously just saw me do the gestures here, and I'll get to that in a second. You also get your news feed, so if you swipe over to the left, it actually shows you your BlackBerry hub, and then you get presented with all your emails here. Then if you swipe over again, you can actually change between different inboxes. So if you swipe over, you get your BBM, your hub, your text messages, your Gmails, Facebook, you know, calls, stuff like that. So nice that this is included. So you can have a unified one at the top, and then you can have all the other ones, you know, the separate ones in, you know, lower down. But you just saw me the swipe gestures here, and I'll get to that now. So for example, if I go into BlackBerry App World here, and BlackBerry App World is loading, and you get different swipe gestures depending on what app you're in. So for example, if I'm now in BlackBerry App World and I swipe in from the top, you get presented with different, you know, menu sort of icons like settings, scan QR codes, downloads, help, stuff like that. Also, if I swipe over from the left, it actually brings up the subcategories, so games, applications, music, video, my world, stuff like that. Then if I swipe up, that's the only gesture that's pretty much the same in every app, and that closes or puts into the multitasking view of the app. You can see down below here, you get the sort of the dots, which are your home pages, and then you get your multitasking view as well as your hub. And then just to close it, you actually just click on that, and that deletes or closes the app. Then you also get the swipe gesture from the top, which brings up all the sort of notifications like your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, your alarms, you know, your sounds. Then you can also have the settings, so straight access to your settings here. Swiping up from the top doesn't do anything apart from sort of, you know, close the app again. Now looking at the Xperia Z, you know, simple swipe to unlock, swipe up to unlock, and then you also get the camera and the music buttons, and then you unlock it, and then you get presented with all the sort of standard Sony apps that you have had on the previous ones, like the Xperia T, stuff like that. So you get your normal alarm clock, you get your album, which is the layout you can see here. You get the sort of the videos you've taken, the pictures you've taken. you'll get them here in this sort of timescape view, and you can, you know, change this around depending on you know, there you go, it keeps changing depending on how you want it. You can make it smaller or bigger depending on how you like it. There you go, you can see that there. To exit out, there's no swipe gesture, it's just a home button at the bottom. They're always there no matter if you portrait or landscape. Then other things you get Amazon MP3 store pre-installed, you get a backup and restore. So basically you just you can back up your stuff. So for example, if you were to upgrade the phone, i.e. if you were, you know, a new ROM was available for you to download, you can actually back it up just to make sure you don't lose anything. Then you also get your Chrome pre-installed and browser, calculator, calendar, camera, and I'll compare the cameras in a second. Diagnostics, so for example, if you have trouble with your phone, you can actually go in here and, you know, test the phone facts and the results, and send it out off to a Sony center. They may be able to help you, you know, fix your phone. Then you get your standard email client, downloads, Facebook comes pre-installed as well, FM radio, file commander, which is just a, you know, file manager, so you can play around with you know, files. If you have, you know, I don't know, photos stored on there, you can actually access them this way. Then swiping over in the app drawer, you get all the sort of standard Gmail things. You get a PlayStation sort of icon here that, you know, allows you to access your PlayStation account from your phone. It's only browser based, unfortunately. You also get a movie studio, so it's like Movie Maker on the Blackberry, where you can, you know, trim clips and, you know, send them off to other people. You get Movies, which is just opens all the movies you've taken with the phone. Then also Music Unlimited is actually where you can download music off the internet from Sony's store. Navigation is just maps, again maps using, you know, Google Maps to navigate wherever you are. News, weather is standard Google. Notes, you can actually take notes. So, you know, you can create nice notes. That's a nice way of sort of, you know, quick access to notes, because sometimes, you know, find yourself, oh, I need to take a note, and most phones don't come with it. Like, for example, the Nexus 4 doesn't come with a standard note app, so it's nice that this is included. Ignore O2 space, this is just bloatware because this phone's actually locked to O2. Office Suite comes pre-installed as well, which, you know, allows you to edit documents on the go. Phone, play books, play magazine, play movies, all that comes standard. Play memories online, you can again, you know, enjoy your photos and videos across favorite devices. You know, you get 5 gigs, so it's like a cloud storage, a Sony's cloud storage, so you can have access to your photos straight away. You also get Smart Connect, which is a nice way. So for example, excuse me, if you plug in your USB charger or plug in a headphone, you can have different options appear depending on what you do. So for example, if I plug in my charger, you can see here it says charger, and you want it between 10 and 7. So if you plug in your charger between 10 and 7 at night, it, you know, I don't know, turns the volume down and, you know, sets your alarm for 8 o'clock. You can have these settings in Smart Connect. Really, really nice feature. Really like that this has been implemented into this. Also music. So if you connect your headphones, for example, it'll start your favorite music player, whichever one you choose. You want it to be. So nice. Smart Connect has been included there. Social Life, it just, you know, combines your feeds. Then Sony Car is like a, you know, dashboard for, you know, if you're driving, you don't want to be touching small icons. You can actually get the big icons, and you can, you know, go navigate places and stuff like that. Then also going back into here, you get Sony Select, which is selected Sony apps. You just actually need to log in with Facebook. I'm not going to do that. But, you know, lots of bloatware. Some of them are actually useful, some of them are not very useful, and you might want to get rid of them. You get the support, the sort of manual, which is support here. Google Talk, track IDs like Shazam. So, for example, if there's a song playing you want to listen to, you know, you Shazam it, or in this case, you can track ID it. Update Center is basically just all the latest updates. You can download them. So if they're app updates or, you know, software updates, stuff like that, you can download it. Then other thing is Video Unlimited. So you can again download videos, TV shows, stuff like that from Sony Entertainment Network. And then last few are Walkman. So it's just your music player here. Then you have another sat-nav Wise Pilot for Xperia. So you can use that as a sat-nav instead of Google Apps if you, for example, don't like Google Apps. And then Xperia Link is basically a tethering app. You can set that up in the settings, or you can just tether that way. Then looking at multitasking quickly, you can see all the apps that you have open running here, but also down here you get the sort of access to floating apps, I think they call them. And basically, if I click on the first one, this is a calculator, and you can see you can move the calculator around depending on where you want it. And it's nice that you can sort of, it's like a multi-window type thing like Samsung have, and you can actually use the calculator here to use it while you're running in the certain app. So for example, if I was to have the browser open and I needed to calculate something, I can actually go in here, open a calculator, and there you go. You can actually calculate something as as you're using another app, and that stays open unless you click X. And then just to delete apps, you just basically swipe over and you can see nice fluid movement there. Doesn't pick up my finger all the time, but there you go. Runs absolutely fine here, and I can get rid of all this stuff here. And also there's a plus button down here. You can actually install more apps from the Play Store. I'm not going to go in it now, but there are actually apps available. For example, a small Facebook. So you get your small Facebook update, then you'll have it always, on the top, or on top of every other app you're running. Then next thing, what I want to talk about is the camera. And the camera new feature on this 30 megapixel camera is actually the HDR video. And but I'm going to show you all the settings here. So first of all, you get Superior Auto, which is basically takes all the controls away from you, and it detects what scene you're in, and it actually comes up with a little sign here. So if I'm get really close, I don't know if that's visible, but see if I move the camera around quickly, it actually thinks there is some movement going on. But I can get really close, and sometimes a flower pops up, or loads of different. Yeah, there you go. You can see it says macro here. You can see that at the top, it actually says macro. Let's see if that comes back up. So basically, it just detects a scene. There you go, macros just popped up. So it detects a scene, whatever's going on, and it actually takes all the controls out of you, and it takes the photo for you, and it optimizes the settings. Then you get normal photo mode, so you can adjust again your exposure balance, exposure compensation. You can also adjust your HDR, so you can have HDR on or off. You can play around with the flash, stuff like that. You also get more settings here, which is self-timer, quick launch. So if you say quick launch, not what I wanted. If I open quick launch here, and you get presented with these different options, and what quick launch actually does, you can see here it says launch and capture or launch only. And this is, if you swipe across from your home screen, you can actually set this at what you want it to do. So if you want it just to take a picture every time you unlock it, you actually click launch and capture. And then as soon as you swipe over, it actually takes a picture straight away. So nice way of sort of going straight into the camera, because sometimes you can take a while before the camera gets going and before you can press the button. So, launch and capture, I think, is something I would probably set it up if I was to use this daily. Then video camera, you get 1080p video, but also you can see the button here says HDR, and this is actually on or off, and this takes a high dynamic range video. So nice new feature. I didn't actually think this was possible, because you can take pictures, 3 pictures at the same time, one overexposed, one underexposed, one normally exposed, combine them in post, and then actually it gives you a high dynamic range. So your skies aren't blown out anymore, or your shadows aren't really just black. But video, I don't know how they do it. They probably just take 3 videos, one higher with a higher exposure, one with a lower exposure, and one with a normal exposure, and then combine them in software. Because this is a very, very difficult thing to achieve with DSLRs nowadays. Then other features you get is a burst shot, so you can take multiple pictures. So for example, if you have your kids, I don't know, playing football and you want to take photos, this takes a set of photos, and you can actually change the resolution, so you can have it a high burst speed, a medium burst speed, or a low burst speed, and actually changes the resolution of the picture. And then there are three major ones more, and then you just have the front facing the last 2. I'm not going to get into these. Picture effects, you can play around with different picture effects. So you can have a miniature, filters, partial color. So you can say, for example, if you just want red to be visible, you can do that. So for example, if I tap this portion, see, it just stays green, and every other thing, if I was to include, like say, red writing, it will actually stay black and white. So you can see here, it actually selective color, and then it goes to red here. Black and white, even though this writing is actually red. So, just loads and loads of different features like that. And then sweep panorama is basically, you just sweep over and it takes a 180-degree panorama. You just need to sweep with the motion. You can see here the things moving, and just make sure you stay in time with that, and then that takes a panorama and then combines it in, in a gallery. Now, these are pretty much all the features. Now, just the other 2, like I said, there's another one called scene selection, where basically you choose where you are. You can see here you can have motion blur, reduce motion blur, HDR, you can, high sensitivity if it's, for example, really dark, pet beach, depending on what picture you take, you just select one of those and the camera does the rest for you, adjust shutter speed, ISO, stuff like that to make sure you capture the scene correctly. And then the other two, like I just said, front-facing camera and front-facing video, and it actually does take front-facing HD video, and you can see here the camera, and yeah, nothing really special there. I'm just going to go back into burst. Now the the Blackberry Z10 camera, you get presented with video, face, or normal picture. And pictures are just normal. You don't really get many settings. You just tap. You can see it actually taps. It takes the pictures really quickly. You get a few settings here. You can see switch camera, so you can go front or back. You can actually do a burst shot as well, so it takes multiple pictures again. If you wanted that, you just tap. It will focus. Let's see if that will do it. It will. You tap focus, and then it takes a whole load of pictures, about 10, I think. Yeah, you can play around like that. It just takes a burst set of pictures. Then other settings are, the settings, the scene as well, but there aren't half as many settings as you get, scene mode, sorry, as you get on the Sony phone. Sony are very well known for their XMOR sensors, and they have very, very high quality sensors, as well as lots and lots of options. So you don't get as many here, but most of the time you don't need as many. Then going back to the camera, you get the normal 1080p video mode. You can see going into here, and that shoots 1080p at 30 frames a second, or 720p video. And then you also get the best face feature. And what the best face feature is actually, you'll take a picture of say if you have like a group shot lined up, and you'll take pictures, say it'll take 10 or 8 pictures, and you can then select which one you think where everyone's faces look nice, for example, and you can then scroll back and forth depending on which one you want to select, and review them again. But I'm not nearly half as many pictures. It's actually, yeah, it's taking the faces, and you can actually, using this, go back and forth. If I just had faces now, and then select the best one, and then hit the tick, and it actually saves it. But let's exit this again, and let's actually compare. Let's exit out of this, and let's compare the keyboards on both devices. Now, taking a look at the keyboard on the device, you can see here, I'll see if I can zoom in and show you that a little bit better maybe. You can see that's the keyboard, and as soon as I start typing, words appear above certain letters. So you can see here, if I was to select Google, I just select it and swipe up. See here, there you go, Google selected, and then see here, it actually gives me the suggestions, which is a really nice way of typing. It doesn't have the swipe gestures like you get on Android, but nevertheless you do get multiple languages support, so you can press and hold, it actually changes the language. You can see here depending on what you want. So really nice that this is working now, that multiple languages. I think this is standard in 2013 in terms of using multiple languages. But apart from the keyboard, there isn't really much. It works just as well in landscape, so no problems. You can still type pretty well on the keyboard. I don't seem to make too many spelling mistakes, and also using the words is actually nice to just swipe them into place. But you do need to be looking at the keyboard when you're typing. I don't tend to look at the keyboard, but if somebody is new to sort of using touchscreen keyboards, it's actually quite nice to speed up your typing. Now, comparing that to the Xperia Z keyboard here, and if I open the keyboard, you actually get the swiping feature. So you can see here, as soon as I start swiping, you don't get the word suggestion like you do on the Blackberry. But say if I was to spell a word, there you go. And also you get multi-language support as well. So you can click here, English, Polish, German. This is what I've got set. I'm going to leave it at English. And then you just get standard keyboard, really, nothing else. You just get the extra sort of long pressing, allows you to access the features or the icons above. So you can see here, if I was to long press R, it actually goes to 4. Only gripe with this keyboard is the small space bar. I do find myself hitting the comma more than I hit the space bar sometimes, because I have quite large hands. So you can get rid of the space and the comma, and then sort of set it in the settings there. If you double tap the space, it actually adds a full stop. But that's just personal preference and how you want to set that up. But the keyboard overall, with the swiping feature, really nice, nicely implemented there as well. Now, comparing displays on both devices, there doesn't seem to be too much of a difference here. You can see I've got the same picture open on both. Let me try and zoom in into this bit here. I think this is pretty much where I went. Maybe, if I'm being picky, the color reproduction is slightly better on the Xperia. It's probably difficult to tell on camera, But the Pixel definitely, I mean, the one down below here looks actually really blurry. If I compare that to the, I don't know if that's visible here, you can see that's slightly mushy compared to this way. It's actually not much more visible. So you can see that here. I'll try and bring it up as close as I can. And that's, you know, still nice and sharp on the Xperia Z, whereas you can see here it's slightly blurry. Obviously that's to do with the pixel density, because, you know, the Xperia Z rocks a 1080p display, whereas this has only got a 720p screen. But, you know, from normal distance, I mean, this is ridiculously zoomed in. There shouldn't be too much of a, you know, a noticeable difference. But, you know, just thought I'd show you that anyway. Color reproduction, like I said, seems to be pretty good on both. You know, viewing angles also, I don't think there's too much to complain about. People do complain about the Xperia Z. I've seen people complain about the viewing angles. But, you know, I don't have too much of a problem, you know, viewing it. And to be fair, if the viewing angles are shit, or sorry, crap, then people from the side won't actually be able to see what's on your phone. So, you know, it has its pros and cons either way. But not too much of a difference, and I don't think you'd expect that in, you know, 2013 to have you know, different you know, sort of screen viewing angles and stuff. Maybe, you know, a few years ago, maybe you could have, you know, said, yeah, the viewing angles are, you know, better on this phone or on the other one. But nowadays, I don't think you should be, you know, worrying about viewing angles on displays. Now, last few bits, let's talk about the build quality on both devices. Starting with the Xperia Z, the back is actually a rubberized back with a sort of a texture to it. And the front is a glass screen, as most phones have nowadays. The side is sort of, feels like aluminium or aluminum, depending on where you're from. And yeah, but feels, you know, nice in the hand. I like the rubber at the back because it doesn't slip out of your hand, so I don't really have too much of a problem holding the device. It feels nice and comfortable. In terms of dropping, I would be slightly worried about dropping either device, to be honest. Nowadays, especially, the sort of the materials get better, you know, glass, stuff like that. So I would be slightly worried about dropping either of them. But, you know, build quality wise, feels nice. Fits nice in the hand as well, which is something I like. It feels really, really nice in the hand, the Blackberry Z10. Now, comparing that to the Xperia, you get scratch-proof, or Sony claims scratch-proof glass on the front or the back. And and the back, and the sides are sort of a aluminium as well. You know, good build quality, and also this has something going for it, which is the waterproofness, and waterproof and dustproof. And I really like that, because you can now, you know, sit in your bath, listen to music, and don't worry about dropping a phone in your bath, because, you know, like I said, it's waterproof. You'd be more worried about the you know, headphones, for example, you know, pulling out and then water coming in. But you can actually use this, you know, underwater, you know, film underwater and stuff like that. But, you know, that's sort of deviating from the point. But, you know, build quality is good, but I would still recommend, you know, getting a case for either of the devices, because, you know, I would be slightly worried about those devices, dropping either of them. But that really concludes my look at the Xperia Z versus the Blackberry Z10. If you have any comments, any queries, please leave them down below. Yeah, feel free to subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.